What's up, guys? I hope you're having a wonderful day. My day is going great so far. A lot of people requested for me to make this video on this topic. It is probably one of the most requested videos I get. So if I was brand new to the ecosystem and I was just starting over, let's say I'm completely starting over right now from scratch, I'm going to tell you what I would do if I had just $1,000 to start, if I had $5,000 to start, or if I had $10,000 to start. That should cover most of you guys. Most of you guys are getting in, you got, close to $1,000. People that have a little more capital or more in that $5,000 range. And then of course you got folks that got 10,000 and above. Now, of course, I got to start out by saying none of this is financial advice. So for the entirety of the video, I don't want to have to repeat myself over and over again. Nothing in this video is financial advice. These are just my opinions. And this is how I would be spending my money if I wanted to restart in the ecosystem and invest capital. You should know, if you're watching this video probably already, that crypto is risky. DeFi is even riskier. So while you can make a tremendous amount of money, you can also lose all your money. A lot of projects are rug pulls, all that type of stuff. I'm just going to be covering the protocols that are tied into the Drip ecosystem, all the Forex Shark products, and I'm going to be covering the ones that are available now. Okay, so don't come at me at the end of this video and say, hey, how come you didn't talk about the dogs play or this in the farm? I'm only going to cover the stuff that is available right now. So if today you watch this video and you've got $1,000 in BNB or $5,000 in BNB sitting in your MetaMask wallet and you're ready to get started, this can give you some color commentary on where you might allocate those funds if you agree with what I'm about to say here. So hopefully you guys understand that, and I'll mention it a couple more times. This is one strategy of a way to play these. This is the way I would play them, and I'll give you my 2 cents on why I would choose to allocate my capital in these ratios. But there's a lot of other ways to do it. So I'm sure people in the comments will say, I like the piggy bank more, I like the garden more, or whatever. I'm just gonna explain the way I would do it if I was starting over right now. So hopefully you guys can appreciate that, but if you've got a different take on it, feel free to put some information down in the comments below. I'm happy to go back and forth with you guys. I think there are unlimited ways to play this and be really successful. This, of course, is just my opinion. So if you guys don't mind, if you like this type of content and you have not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. I try to make the best content I can. Some of this stuff is more data driven like this. Sometimes I bust out the spreadsheets, and sometimes I make videos that are just more entertaining. So if you're okay with the mix and my face doesn't irritate you, then please consider hitting the subscribe button. Even if my face does irritate you, you could subscribe and then just don't watch the videos. Just listen to it in the background like a lot of people do with YouTube. I just want to make sure you know all the options that are available to you. So let's get this video rolling. I think what I should probably do first is explain the parts of the ecosystem that are currently open and just a brief overview of how each one of them works. What I will try to do in the description below is put links to all these videos, because I've got really in-depth videos on how to do the pig pen and piggy bank, the garden, the faucet. I've got an in-depth one on the reservoir. I've got one on how to buy B-Reap so you can earn referral rewards. I basically have tutorials on everything that'll show you the step-by-step. So if you don't know what you're doing, I'll try to link those below. That way you can go and find the one you want. If you want to get into the garden, you click on that link. It's pretty comprehensive with the way I feel like I've laid it out. So hopefully you guys will find that information useful. But what I will do is I'll just give a quick little overview of what all these things do. So I think what we need to talk about first is just all the different parts of the ecosystem that are currently live as of today. And off the top of my head, I would think that would be the faucet, the garden, the piggy bank, the pig pen, and the reservoir. I think that's it. 5 main plays right now that are available. So first and foremost, let's talk about the faucet. So the faucet is a daily ROI platform. You put money into the deposits, it technically locks those funds and you get it back over time. It drips you back small percentages, 1% per day of the profits that you're making from your initial investment. Then you have the opportunity to take the money that you've earned and either pull it out of the system or recompound it back into the system. So you're now earning 1% on that as well. You can grow your balance up to a max payout of 100,000 tokens, which means the deposits would be like 27,400, because your max payout is 3.65 times your maximum number of deposits. 27,400-ish times 3.65 equals 100,000. So the faucet is absolutely great because it is very likely the least risky protocol in the ecosystem. I say that it's the least risky. There's still plenty of risk with anything in DeFi, but this is probably the least risky in the ecosystem. It's been around for the longest. It pays out a sustainable 1% per day. You're getting 1% on the tokens, not the dollar value. So this can fluctuate up and down. Sometimes this will be way up, sometimes it'll be way down. It just depends on the price action of the token. And it's got a lot of sustainability metrics. A lot of it is based around the taxes. So if you want to put your money in here, when you put it in, you'll get a 10% tax. It's deposited into the faucet. Every time you want to take it out of here and put it over here, you have a 5% tax. Then if you're ready to cash out and claim, you hit this claim button, you are charged a 10% tax for claiming. And then if you want to convert it back over to B&B or whatever, then you're charged an additional 10%. Some people say, oh, that's a lot of taxes. But trust me, when it's compounding, the taxes really don't matter. And you want this to be a sustainable investment for you. This is not made for quick cash. So this is a longer term investment. Do not try and get in and out of it. I do not recommend in any way that you try to day trade drip. The token is really meant to be utilized inside of this ecosystem. So, if you want to think about it in terms of a game, you want to play the game in the way it was designed to be played. That's the fastest track to winning. There's no real shortcuts here. The only shortcuts that are available are tools within the system and in the ecosystem to help magnify your gains faster. So just remember that, and don't be short-sighted when you're doing any of these investments. These all should be kind of a longer term play for you. And by long term, I would probably say 6 months at the absolute minimum. These DeFi projects, this whole ecosystem is not quick money in, quick money out. I think if you're getting into it, really think about it and make the decision of whether you're okay, first, to risk that capital in case you lose all of it. Second, to not really feel like you need those profits for 6 months to a year. I personally have been in the faucet since December, so I think that's coming up on 9 months, I believe. And I am not taking profit because I want to continue to grow this balance. So as you can see, for me, it's a longer term play. And if I was going to give a soft recommendation, not financial advice, that's the one I would give to you. Next up, since it's on the same page, let's jump over to the reservoir. The reservoir is a little bit different. It's relatively simple. It's not as high risk. It's also not as high yielding. What the reservoir does in a nutshell is it assists the price floor on the drip token price. It assists to elevate that price floor. So the more money that's in the reservoir, the more liquidity is available for drip, and the more liquidity that's available for a token, generally it increases the price. So by putting B&B in here, you're going to earn, anywhere, the ranges are kind of big, anywhere from 40% APY to 150% APY. It just depends on how many people get in. People that get into the reservoir first can get more benefit from it than people that get in later. So the way I look at this play is if I put money in here, A, I can earn a little yield on B&B, and B, it helps support the drip price, so it helps my other position, which is all good. If I can put some long-term money into the system and earn a little B&B from it, but also it helps my other position, it just makes a lot of sense to me. So the reservoir in general is not very sexy. If you have a tiny position in the system, it's probably not ideal for you, but it's definitely a part of the ecosystem that should be considered. And I think the price of the drip token and sustainability of drip token does have a lot to do with the reservoir on the back end. Let's go next over to the animal farm page and let's go into the pig pen. So to get into the pig pen, you just need to buy pigs, and you can do that over on this little swap tab right here. If you need to pick up pigs, you do that. You put in however much BUSD you have, how many pigs you want, set your slippage, buy them, and then you come over to the pig pen, and it may not show you how much you have. I've seen that happen before where there's nothing here, but you can look over in your MetaMask wallet, it'll tell you how much you have. I think that's just a little error that happens once in a while, or maybe it takes a bit to show up on here after I purchase a pig. But if I went to the swap tab and purchased a pig with BUSD, I technically have a balance of 1. Once you put that in here, this button will turn green. You click deposit and it will go into your staked balance. As you can see here, you do have a withdrawal limit of 2% per day. And by having them staked in there, you do earn some pigs down here that you can roll into it. But what's more important is the BUSD you're earning. So right now, the actual animal farm is not open. So the power behind the pig pen isn't really working all that well right now. And here's why. The reason you want pigs in the pig pen is because that represents your ownership stake in the animal farm. So you've got your farms over here. Let's say people jump in and they want to stake dogs, BUSD. They're going to pay a little transaction fee. That transaction fee is going to go over and be added in up here. There's going to be a lot of rewards in the vault. And if you own a percentage of the animal farm, then you get a percentage of those rewards. So if there's thousands of people, millions of people in here doing transactions, staking their stuff, taking it out, moving it over, buying and selling, creating LPs, staking them to earn dogs or pigs or whatever it is, every single one of those transactions is going to elicit a transaction fee. And that transaction fee, of course, is going to be paid out to the owners of the business. In this case, the business is the animal farm, and in this case, the owners are us. So right now, pigs in the pig pen, they're not earning that much because the animal farms aren't open. So there's no transactions happening. So there's very little going on. And for that reason, your payout and your percentage of those transaction fees is very, very low. But as soon as it opens, those transaction fees will go up massively. Your payouts will increase 10x or more. And all of a sudden, the amount of pigs you have staked in the pig pen is going to be very, very important. So currently pigs are trading for about $80. And as you can see, I only have a total of 8 staked in there right now. So that's the pig pen. Pig pen is very important. Moving on, let's go to the piggy bank. So the piggy bank is a miner, okay? So miners are just inherently more risky than some of the other protocols. So just be aware of that. Daily ROI on miners is variable, so it will fluctuate up and down. And the piggy bank allows you to earn up to 3% daily ROI on your principal. So without getting too far into it, again, I will post the link in the description below that will be to the video where I go into this for a half an hour. I don't want to spend that much time on it today. So here's basically what you need to do. To get into the piggy bank, you're staking pigs BUSD LP tokens, which means that you need to buy pigs, you need to have some BUSD, right, Binance dollars, and you need to group those together and create the LP token, which creates liquidity for animal farm pigs. So how you would do that is you come over first, you go to the swap tab like we already talked about. You want to swap some BUSD for pigs. Let's just say for this example that you have $500 and that's what you want to put in the piggy bank. If you got $500, you need to split that half and half. It's got to be 250 in BUSD and 250 in pigs. So let's say I have 500 in BUSD right here. I would put in $250. That would give me 3.11 pigs. I would purchase that. And then I would have pigs, $250 worth, and then also BUSD with the $250 worth. Now all we need to do is smash those together and add liquidity. You can do it over on PancakeSwap, but they make it a lot easier to do here. So click on add liquidity. You put your 3.11 pigs in here, and then you can just autofill so the dollar amount lines up exactly. You'll click OK, and it will create that liquidity pair for you. Once that's created, you can see them in your MetaMask wallet. It'll be in your Trust wallet or whatever. Then what you have to do is come back to the piggy bank. It will list your pigs BUSD LP balance right here. You put in how much you want to do, and then you can stake it. Now, you get a small percentage if you just stake it in the system and let it cycle, but you get a much larger percentage if you time lock it. So depending on how long you want to lock it down for, it's going to increase your time lock bonus by a lot. This is like 149,000, right, for 156 weeks, but that's like 3 years. So that's a really long time to lock it up. So you can play with it depending on how far you want to lock them up. If you've got dates, let's just say Christmas, you want to set it out for 26 weeks because Christmas is that far out, or you want to do it next year for your birthday or whatever, so you can utilize these bonuses for specific times in your life, for specific events. I know my guy Lee across the pond over at Drip.community has all this stuff set to like birthdays and Christmas and holidays and all that type of stuff. And I think that's really smart. I didn't do that initially when I set up, but I probably would if I was to go back and do that again. So without getting too far into the specific strategy, I would say if you've got a limited amount of capital in here, I would do like a shorter time lock and I would do a longer one. That's a little bit smaller in dollar amount, but of course your time lock bonus is so big that down the road, 91 weeks from now, this could be massive. So again, these are longer term plays, but here's what happens. Once you get done with that time lock, you're able to take that money out of the system. So as you start to claim them, you'll have pigs BUSD LP tokens. Then you need to decide what to do with them. How do you play that? A lot of people will reinvest in the piggy bank, and a lot of people will break the BUSD and the pigs apart. They'll put the pigs in the pig pen, and they can use the BUSD to either buy additional pigs, or they can use it to buy drip, or they can put it in the garden. There's a bunch of different ways to play it. But this strategy would allow you some flexibility of what you want to do with those funds. Ultimately, in my opinion, the long-term thing is to utilize all these different parts of the ecosystem to build up and purchase as many pigs as possible, because what you really want to do is own a percentage of this business. Think about how many transactions that PancakeSwap goes through per day. PancakeSwap is a business. They make a ton of money. They keep all the fees for themselves. But if you own a piece of this business and a ton of people are on Animal Farm running through all these transactions and you're getting a percentage of it, wouldn't it make sense to just own a piece of the business and get that passive income in BUSD? I think so. And that's why the direction I'm going with all this stuff is to try to figure out how in the long game and in the long run, how to figure out how to utilize the ecosystem in a bunch of different ways to eventually build positions in the sections that matters most. And one of the sections that matters most to me, that I think should matter most to everybody, is to have as many pigs in the pig pen as possible and continue growing that over time. So that is the piggy bank. So I think this is it. Last but not least, the drip garden. The drip garden is another miner. It's similar to the piggy bank. The piggy bank, the liquidity pair was pigs and BUSD. In this case, it's drip and BUSD. So what you're doing by buying drip.BUSD is you're of course adding liquidity to the drip token. Now, just like the piggy bank, again, this is a miner, so it's inherently more risky than some of the other protocols. This is a leverage play on drip. So if drip goes up, you should actually fare better here than you would just in the main faucet. And the percentage payout's much higher here. So you can get up to 3.3% here. And of course, since it's a miner, that's a variable rate, and that depends on a lot of different things. It depends on contract balance. It depends on drip price. I mean, the decay has several different factors added in. So I've got a video that breaks this down in detail, but this is not a short-term play either. You need to put money in here, invest money into it, continue to compound, continue to compound. That way you're outrunning the decay. And when you built up an appropriate position size, then you're able to take some from it. Now, why in the world would you want drip.BUSD LP tokens? Well, there's a couple of reasons. The first one is obvious. It's both drip and BUSD. If you split them apart, you can put drip in the faucet and you can utilize that BUSD for whatever you want. You can buy more drip, you can buy more pigs, you can convert it over to fiat and send it directly to your bank account so you can pay your phone bill. So obviously that gives you the flexibility to play it a few different ways. Now, another big one, and this will tie into what I was just mentioning about the pig pen, is you can use drip.BUSD LP tokens in the farm when it opens. It's not open right now, I know that, but I can build them up while we're waiting. And then when the farm's actually open, I can use them in there. So this right here, once you put this drip.BUSD in here, it's gonna go to work for you and it's gonna produce pigs. Why do I want pigs? Again, I want as many pigs as I can in the pig pen because that is my ownership of the farm. So as everyone else is in here doing their little transactions, I'm shaving off dollars and cents from each one of those transactions and fees. So to me, the garden is a big time sleeper. I love it. As you can see, I have 920,000 plants so far. I'm trying to get well over 1 million before the farms get open. And then I'm gonna leverage these LPs, put them into the farm so I can earn pigs, so I can put pigs in the pig pen, right? If this is the first time you're hearing about this stuff, guys, I know it sounds crazy, but the ecosystem is designed in such a way that it can feed each other. And if you get smart with your strategy, you can end up making a lot of money and not really have to sell your assets. So just like if you own a home and you want to turn it into a rental property, some people would sell that home. They'd say, oh, there's $500,000 in that home. I'm gonna sell it, I'm gonna take my capital gain and walk away. But generally speaking, the smarter people will say, I'm gonna rent it. I'm gonna rent it for $3,500 a month. I'm gonna take the tax benefits, I'm gonna take the depreciation, and I'm gonna hold on to that asset as long as possible until I really need to sell it. And hopefully that's never. Instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna live off the residual income. So be a smart investor here. Try to figure out how to own a piece of that business so you can just get kicked off those dividends and you never have to sell the underlying asset. So that is the quick overview of the 5 pieces of the ecosystem that are really open right now and usable. Let's talk about how I would allocate capital if I just had $1,000, if I just had $5,000, and if I just had $10,000. Now I'll try to explain this in a way that is kind of for beginners at first, assuming you don't know everything about the ecosystem and all the different ways to play it, because that definitely is a factor. But I'll also try to give you some insight that if you know about all this, like right now, if I jumped in with all the knowledge that I have right now, like let's just say, knock on wood, gosh, I hope this never happens. Obviously I use a ledger and I'm secure. You guys should probably get a ledger or some sort of device like that too to protect your capital. But if for some crazy reason I got wiped out right now and I had to start over, I've got the knowledge of exactly how the ecosystem works. So I may play a little more advanced strategy. If I was brand new to it, I might say, hey, give this to me in stages. Like, let me understand the faucet, then what's with the garden, tell me about the piggy bank, and do that piece by piece. I think there's something to be said for not overwhelming a new investor with here's 15 different things, put a little bit of money in each of them, put most in here. Sometimes that's too much for people. Allow them to slowly build on their knowledge, and then it will naturally lead them to some of these more advanced portions of the protocol or whatever, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So here we go. I actually did make a little spreadsheet this time. I know you guys have missed my spreadsheets. This is about the most simple one I've ever created. So in example 1, starting capital, $1,000. So all the time, people reach out to me and say, I have $800, I have $1,000, I have whatever, and I just want to know what to invest in first. Obviously, I can't give financial advice, but this is just kind of the general rule for me. I'll start by saying, if you don't have $1,000, you have $300, 100% of that capital should go in the faucet. It's the least risky and easiest to understand. Start small, invest risk capital, and just learn the parts of the ecosystem piece by piece. So under $1,000, all in the faucet, then spend some time on YouTube doing research and just trying to develop your own strategy. If you've got $1,000 or more, I would probably do a 90-10 allocation. So I would do 90% in the faucet and I would do 10% in the garden. For me, I want to secure my capital, a lot of my capital, the bulk of my capital in the least risky space. I sure would like to take a moonshot and go the riskiest possible and make a ton of money, but I also don't want to lose it. So for me, 90-10 makes the most sense. I'm doing $900 in the faucet, $100 in the garden. And the reason I'm putting $100 in the garden is because I believe that the price of drip is going to go up. And if the garden is a leveraged play on drip and the price goes up, then I should make a really good profit. That's the first half of it. The second half of it is it's fairly easy to understand because it's just one step up from the faucet, right? You're taking the drip that you already bought for the faucet, you've got that system down, you're buying some more drip, and then you're taking BUSD and putting them together. What this is going to do is going to teach you how to create a liquidity pair, show you what a liquidity pair is. When you go to cash out, you go to PancakeSwap, you'll split up that liquidity pair so you can get your money back. That learning experience, I think, is really important for people that they're not getting. They're not even thinking about that. Let's start you slow. Let's start to help you understand what liquidity pairs are, what kind of stuff you can do with the Binance chain. Let's get you more familiar with how DeFi works in general, and let's do that by utilizing a good tool in the garden. So for that reason, 90-10 allocation, faucet because it's simple and most likely the most secure, the garden because it's a leverage play, you get a little taste of high risk, but it's still relatively easy to understand. And if you want to split up that liquidity pair, you can always just dump that straight in your faucet and then do what you want to with the BUSD. But it's also preparing you that when the farms actually open, you will have that and you may have built up a really good balance. Now, if you are smart, like I said, and you don't need this money for 6 months or a year, you can take your garden position and grow it to millions of tokens, or I should say millions of plants, which is tons of LPs per day, right? At that level, you might be making 50 LPs per day. You could take those LPs, put them over into the farms. You could be earning pigs and then of course put pigs in the pig pen. So to me, faucet's most important, garden's kind of that gateway drug into bigger things, which eventually is the direction you want to go in DeFi. You really want to understand it. So that's the play I would make. I would not put any money into the piggy bank because you don't have a ton of capital. You want to have like a decent lump sum in one spot. You don't want to spread it out, all these little tiny pieces in an ecosystem. This isn't putting money in the pig pen yet. I think, we're getting a little too far down the road. Right now, especially with those not being open, if you were to take the full 1,000 and throw that in the piggy bank, you'd be earning 50 cents a day maybe. So that is not the best use of that capital, in my opinion. And in the reservoir, you're just not ready for that yet, I don't think. So let's see if this worked. I didn't want to show you all the goods before the time was ready. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Next up, $5,000 in capital. For you bigger boys that are kind of right in the middle, have a little more risk capital that they like to throw up. Here's how I have it allocated. Again, the vast majority is going to go into the faucet. I can't say this enough. The faucet is the foundation, should be the foundation for all of the other investments that you're making in the ecosystem. I think you are making a mistake if your faucet position is not the strongest position that you have in the ecosystem. The faucet has been operating for like 16 months straight, which is unheard of in DeFi, and it's extremely well positioned to take off in the next month or two. So if you're watching this video today, the faucet is the main play. I think you're gonna get massive gains there. But even if you're watching this video in 6 months and drips at 100, the faucet is still where you should build your foundation. So the bulk of the capital goes there. You already know why I'm interested in the garden. I think the drip price is gonna go up so you can generate a lot of LPs there. And next, I think you should throw 300 bucks in the piggy bank. Piggy bank's gonna allow you to get used to those pigs BUSD LPs and earn more of them. Like I said before, I would do a really small stake, maybe a week, maybe a month, something like that, with the bulk of your capital, maybe 75% or so. And then I would take the smaller, 15 to 25% of your capital, and I would put it in a longer term stake, a year out, 9 months out at least, maybe 2 years. Something longer that's going to give you a massive time lock bonus that you can just build over time. You can always add additional capital to these investments. So as time goes on, you want a bigger piggy bank position, you can buy additional stakes. Once those stakes aren't time locked anymore, you can add to them. So if you just want to continue to add to an untime locked stake, you can do that. But at this point, if you got $5,000, I would just sprinkle a little bit in. I would create some LPs, I would create a couple stakes, I would play that game for a little while, see if you can understand it very well. And once you feel like you've got it down, you can branch out a couple additional stakes. Maybe now you're splitting them up and putting pigs into pig pen. It's just a good place to start. The important thing with DeFi and really anything is not to get over your head. You don't need to be involved in every aspect of every protocol, of every ecosystem, and everything by every developer at one time. Start with the stuff that makes sense to you. Try to get to the point where you feel like you've got a certain level of expertise on it. And then when you feel like you've got that down, branch out into another part of that ecosystem or another protocol you like or another dev that you've been following. So take things slow. But if you guys are familiar with Forex Shark and the Drip ecosystem, Drip Network is the gold standard, and the Faucet is one of the cleanest entry-level ROI dApps that are out there. And finally, I'd throw, if you have a position about this size in the Faucet, I'd throw some money in the reservoir. This is both to bolster the floor price of Drip. It also helps your community members, and it will earn you some BNB over the long term. So just a little splash in there to let people know you're a team player. Plus, it's not a donation. You do earn BNB off of that. And finally, $10,000. And this could really be 10,000 or more. Obviously, if you have a ton of money, you can hit me up in the DMs on Telegram, and I can give you some more specific stuff for exactly how I play it. But generally speaking, it's going to be about in these ratios. So 10K starting capital, 7 grand in the Faucet. Again, number one position there. That is the foundation. The garden, I'd go a little bit bigger. 1,700 bucks right now would give you like 300,000 plants or something. I don't know. It would be pretty large. Don't quote me on that. But your starting position would be pretty solid. I would up the position a little bit in the piggy bank. Same thing. Maybe you make 3 time locks and split them up accordingly. The one that has the biggest multiplier on it that's time locked for a long time, make that one your smallest. Make a medium sized one in the middle, and then make your largest one time locked for the shortest amount of time. So you have that capital available that you can use if you need it in the near future. You can always, once it's done time locking, re-time lock that. So the only benefit really is if you wanted to lock it up for a long time, you get a big time lock bonus. But sometimes people don't realize that, hey, I'm gonna need that capital in a month because I wanna buy more pigs or whatever, and they've locked it up for a year just because they didn't think through that process. So be aware of that, but that would get a little bigger position in the piggy bank. But as you can see, they get small. I'm big into the Faucet. Go hard there because this is an income generator. You can always use money from Drip to go buy these at a later time. These are just to get you familiar with another part of the ecosystem, give you a taste, get you comfortable with it, and have you earning some yield in other parts of the protocol. Next up, this is the first time once you're about this level that I would start buying pigs. Now after the farm, I'll probably do another video after the farms are open because my assessment will be a little bit different because you'll have a lot of farms to play with depending on what APYs are out there, depending on which section of the protocols are making the most money, where the decay's at, is drip price going crazy, where's the liquidity, all that stuff is a factor. So right now, since the animal farm is not open, the pig pen isn't generating very much yield, so I wouldn't put a ton in there, but I would if I had $10,000 to get myself a little taste. So right now, $400 is about 5 pigs. They're trading for about 80 bucks a piece. This would get you some pigs staked in the system. Like I said, give you just a little taste, get you comfortable for a new part of the platform. And finally, the reservoir. If you got this much in there, again, this is right around 1 BNB. Be a team player, earn some yield in BNB, and help bolster that floor price of Drip. So I know I said it at the beginning of the video, but I want to say it again. There are a ton of different ways to play this. People after in the comments are going to say, piggy bank all the way. I would have put all my money in the piggy bank. I would have done the garden. I would have done whatever. This right here is just personally what I would do. I really like the ease of use of the garden. I like that it's a leverage play. I think once you watch a good video on it, it's fairly easy to understand both how the garden works for the most part and what you can actually leverage that to do. What are you earning? And in the end, ultimately, what can you do with the LPs that you earn? So the garden is top on my list as an amazing play. And then the Faucet. Foundation should be in the Faucet. Faucet is the easiest to learn. It is probably the safest part of the protocol, and it is the gasoline for you that's going to run your car through the rest of the ecosystem. So I'd love to hear you guys' take on this assessment. This is how I would break it down. And I personally really like this capital allocation. So let me know what you guys think. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy investing.